WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network welcomes you to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with your host, Ian White, life fulfillment coach, who helps people get out of their own way so they can live the life they were meant to.
Welcome, everybody, to the Live Your Life Without Limits show. My name's Ian White, your life fulfillment coach and the president of Coaching Deconstructed. And I want to highlight again what this show is all about. This show is about my journey and how I'm living my life without limits, but it's also about showing you guys and normalizing your experiences, that you're not the only ones to go through your current set of circumstances, that everybody out there is going through similar experiences and learnings in their life. And in the process of doing this show, I get to share with you my biggest learnings, my strategies to live my ultimate life. And ultimately be able to bring on some cool guests who have taken that leap and who are living their life without limits to show the possibilities to you about what you can and could do in your life if you so choose to do so. In order for me to be able to help you guys as best as I can, I need your questions and your comments. So in listening to my shows last week or this week, or any of the shows that I've produced up until now, what questions or comments have my shows sparked for you? Because it's one thing for me to produce content and to share from my own home studio, and it's another when I get somebody else's feedback or questions or comments and what they quite don't understand. So I invite you to, whenever you are sparked with a question or a comment, send them my way. It'll help me enrich the content even that much more by injecting your request right into the content. So I'd like to direct you to either the Ask Ian button on the WGSN-DB website or by emailing me at info@coachian.com. Also, don't forget to head over to my website at coachingdeconstructed.com, where I have a page dedicated to the Live Your Life Without Limits show, where I've got a descriptor for each of the shows that I've produced up until now, plus all of the practices that I offer you right there on my website. So head on over to coachingdeconstructed.com and take a look at that page. Take a look at the content. Download those practices. They will support you in moving forward. Now, last week I shared a story about how I lived in my head the entire weekend, and that I was projecting this low vibration ripple effect. Basically, everybody in my path, everybody who was close to me, I was affecting them in a negative way because I wasn't being myself. I wasn't being present. I wasn't being honest. And I knew it was having an impact on the people around me. And if you can recall that story, and maybe I'll just recap that story quickly to give you a sense if you weren't there. But essentially, I was avoiding having a conversation with my wife about finances, and it was something that she had approached me on. She wanted to have a discussion, and I was resisting the possibility of having that conversation because I didn't want it to go to a certain place. I didn't want it to affect the life that I have decided to lead for myself, where I'm chasing my dreams and living a life where I get to support and help other people. And what I was deathly afraid of was that if I shared where we were financially, she was going to ask me to go get a job, go get paid some other way in order to support the house, the family, the kids, and give up on your dream. I was petrified of this. I was also scared she was going to tell me, you know what, we're going to have to cut expenses. like CrossFit. It's an expensive hobby of yours. And I didn't want to give up on those things, let alone give up and give in and show my kids that it's okay to cave to those fears and that it's not possible to live a life that you're desiring. And I was stuck in my head the entire weekend. I avoided having the conversation. I was staying up late. I was irritable. I was short of breath, catching myself to the point where when Julie would ask, I was actually hoping that Julie would ask me, "What's going on? You seem not like yourself." So I could, passive aggressively say, "Yeah, of course things aren't going okay. Yeah, we need to have a conversation about money. We're deathly in the hole." But I didn't do it that way. And I struggled all weekend with it. And I shared that story with you. And what I decided to do with you was to make a declaration, to commit to you and to myself that I would have a conversation with my wife and I would have a conversation with my coach. And what I was hoping was this would hold me accountable to myself and to you, and that I would be able to share with you the results of that conversation or those conversations with you as well, which did not go as I expected at all. Which gives credence to this expression that I've heard many times and that my coach uses a lot, and it's, your thoughts are like a bad neighborhood, never go there alone. And I was in that bad neighborhood all weekend long, with all of the limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs and limiting possibilities for myself. And it's not how the conversations went at all. And when I finally had that conversation with my wife, it was probably the day after I recorded the last show. And the conversation was actually pretty amazing. After I shared where we were at, and it kind of shocked her because she maybe felt a little bit out of the loop. She realized that she was going to have to make some changes. And it wasn't just going to have to be me. But when it came around to talking about, and it wasn't a solution-based conversation, it was just to kind of clear the air. And actually one of the concerns that I had going into the conversation was that I had to have an answer. That I had to have everything all mapped out and clear so that I could save the day. And the truth is, I don't have that answer yet. But I know it's inside me. Or inside us, actually. So when I shared, I was afraid that she was going to ask me to go back and get a job. She was so supportive, so caring, so understanding and trusting that these things are all going to work themselves out as I work out and as I continue to offer my services and my expertise through social media, through this radio show, through my public interactions. She trusts that it's all going to come together. And what she said to me that really stuck was that I trust that when it's right for you or when it's time for you, you will go get a job if you think it's necessary. But I'm not going to tell you to do that. You'll know when or if that's necessary. And that was an amazing bit of supportive conversation coming from my wife that I couldn't even fathom. I didn't even think that kind of those words would come out of her mouth. I know she's been incredibly supportive about me pursuing my passion, pursuing my dreams, but even that was a foreign thought to me, that she trusted me that much. Man, is that ever worth its weight in gold? Knowing that she's behind me 100%, and that the decisions are in my hand to decide if I need to get a second job or whatever. So that was awesome. Another thing I was afraid of losing was CrossFit, something that keeps me really active and in shape that I've been doing for the past almost 3 years, actually. And she said, why would I ask you to quit something that gives you so much energy to do the other things that you do in your life? To be with the kids, to cook and to clean, to take care of the house. And I'm like, wow, how awesome is that? That she is even behind me in something that costs quite a bit of money, not to let go of it. And actually, as she mentioned those things, that why would I give up on something that is so supportive in my development and it keep giving me energy, I started thinking about all the clients that I've picked up through CrossFit, and that the fact that it's paid for itself. So that's not where I need to make changes necessarily. And the other aspect that I needed to let go of was the idea of having the solution to the problem. So by letting go of not having to have a solution, I could just share where we're at. Because as a couple, you need to be able to be open and to share exactly where you are with whatever those challenges are, and be okay with not having the answers. Because this isn't just a me problem, it's a we problem. And it's going to take both of us to come up with strategies and ideas for us to implement. And I can't do that in isolation. I need her to help me with that. So we do have to have more conversations in this area on how we're going to make the adjustments that we need to make in the interim. But at least the conversation has started. And I have gained so much trust and amazement for my wife and what she's going through and how supportive she's being for me, that I can even feel how much more intimacy we're having just because I opened up and shared with her where we were at. And how much better that was than staying in my head, that horrible bad neighborhood where it's just my own thoughts racing around and around in circles. It's opened me up to having those conversations more often. So even though I've been doing this for many, many years, I still fall into this trap from time to time of being stuck in my head, stuck in my thoughts, and trying to figure it all out on my own. So that's the conversation that I had with my wife. So after the break, I'm going to share with you the conversation that I had with my coach and how that helped me. So I'll talk to you on the other side.
You're listening to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
Hi, this is Stephanie, Spiritual Stephanie, here on the WGSN-DB Going Solo After Dark Network.com. Please join me every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have rebroadcast on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Spiritual Stephanie, thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
So welcome back to the Live Your Life Without Limits show. I'm still Ian White. I'm still a Life Fulfillment Coach, and I am still the president of Coaching Deconstructed. Before the break, I told you about the negative ripple that I was running over the course of that weekend, and that the stories I was telling myself, and that it wasn't until I was able to open up and share with my wife exactly where we were we able to reconnect a new understanding of where we were and move forward together. And I have you guys to thank for that, because I declared to you that that was the conversation that I was going to have, and I promised that I would share it in this show with you. I also promised to share the conversation I had with my coach. Now, I knew my biggest stumbling block was having the conversation with my wife. So before having the conversation with her, I sent an email to my coach, Karen, and I said, look, I really need to have a call with you as soon as possible. Things aren't going well. I need to have a conversation. And I had this panicked feeling that I needed to share, I needed to figure it out, and I needed to have it all figured out first, which is something that I said that I thought I needed to do with the conversation with Julie. But by the time I had had the conversation with Julie, that urgency had kind of fallen away. So by the time I had a conversation with my coach, Karen, it was less urgent. And it was more of a clarification conversation that I had with her, where I shared kind of the ins and outs of the weekend and how great it was for me to have a conversation with my wife and to have this support, unwavering support from her. And that by the time I had had this conversation, it didn't have the same oomph behind it that I thought I needed to have resolved right away. So in simply declaring or promising to you that I would have these conversations, it affected inside of me what I needed to do. And it got me moving forward towards my goals. So what I'd like to do now is actually ask you, what conversation are you avoiding having in your life? Where are you spinning in your head nonstop about a certain subject? It could be at work, a conversation with a colleague or a boss about something that's not working, that you're afraid something bad's going to happen to you or there's going to be some sort of consequence. Because that's where I find a lot of people get stuck, including myself. When you have a fear that you're going to lose or miss out on something because you opened yourself up. When in fact, it's quite often the opposite. Because when you're able to open up and share where you're at and what's going on, without the added pressure of having to have a solution, you give rise to having conversation that could create the solution. Which is why I love coaching so much. Having an impartial, non-judgmental person to bounce your ideas off so that you can get the clarity that you need for yourself. So where are you struggling? Is it a conversation in your relationship? Is it a conversation you need to have with your kids? Where are you stuck in your head? How bad is that neighborhood upstairs of yours? Your thoughts are like a bad neighborhood. Never go there alone. Those repetitive thoughts will start to affect you. It'll affect your breathing, your stress level, your anxiety. But when you're able to start opening up, sharing where you're at, trusting that things are going to work out for you and for everybody, when you're open, it opens up all those doors, it frees your mind, and allows you to be present again. Allows you to be you again. Not the stressed out, anxiety-ridden, fearful you, which isn't really you. The other thing that came out of that coaching conversation that I had with Karen, who, by the way, is a loyal listener to this show, is that, and it's something that I've been fearful actually of sharing with anybody, and that's, who is my audience? Who am I here to serve? And she asked me specifically who my ideal client was. I haven't been able to pinpoint this, or I haven't acknowledged that I wanted to pinpoint this out of fear of not getting enough clientele. By making it too narrow that I would not see people coming through my door because my focus was too narrow. So I've decided to share that with you today, who my audience is, who I'm here to serve. And the people I'm here to serve are influencers. Whether you're a coach or a teacher, a business owner, or a parent, if you have a sphere of influence and want to affect change on the people in your sphere and want to have a positive impact in their lives, that's the person I want to work with. Somebody who wants to, and as I talk about it, the ripple effect, where you affect somebody so that they are able to affect many more people in a cascading way. If you are the kind of person who wants to make change, wants to help people live better lives, I want to be a part of it. And I trust that if you're a good fit to work with me, that you'll find me. You'll track me down. You'll go to my website at coachingdeconstructed.com. You'll send me an email, or you'll sign up for a discovery session. and we'll determine whether or not we're a good fit to work with one another. So again, I'm bearing my soul to you. I am clarifying my niche market ever so slightly, week by week. And I'm putting it out there that that's the kind of person I want to work with. And no matter if you fall in that category of people or not, I still encourage you to send questions and comments through the Ask button on the WGSN-DB website, or by sending an email to info@coachian.com. I want to be a part of helping people live better lives. I want to help people live a life without the boundaries that they put on themselves. And I want to help people who are like me, who want to make change, who want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. People who want to show their kids and be a positive influence on their kids to help them live their life without limits. So until next time, everybody, I invite you to send in those questions and get out of your head. Get out of the neighborhood that is your bad thoughts, your repetitive thoughts. Get out there, have those conversations that you need to have. Call a friend, call a coach, do whatever you need to do to stop the repetitive cycle of being in your own head. So until next time, everybody, take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
You've been listening to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach, on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network.